Hey, what's up? I'm gonna troubleshoot sourdough for beginner bakers and answer most of your comments and questions during the last year. Take your note. I will correct some of your mistakes and help you to achieve a beautiful sourdough bread with creamier crumb and lighter crust. So let's get into this, shall we? This is how an active starter should look like.
After I feed it, my starter rise dramatically, double or triple its size. Lots of bubbles and fermentation going on here, but it still holds its shape. It's like 100% pre-fermented dough. Beginner's mistake is their starter is too runny or watery. It has to be like this consistency, a bit thicker than pancake. Look at it. I can even shape it to a dough if I want. When you smell your starter, shouldn't smell so acidic, but it's a bit sour and tangy. Let me mix my dough and show you how it works. I have 7 grams salt and my starter, which passed the floating test. It's 70 grams, of course, 250 gram water and 350 gram bread strong flour.
Don't afraid to use your best tools.
Especially if you're a beginner, try to mix your dough with your hands and feel your dough. This is your first evaluation. The dough itself tells you a lot of things. For example, did you choose the right hydration?
Following up any recipes blindly not gonna help you. Don't go for high hydration.
Talking about hydration, if you're a beginner, you should not choose high hydration recipes. Stick to lower hydration like 65% or 70%. Once you master the technique and achieve a beautiful low hydration sourdough bread, you can go for higher hydration. And if it's stick to your hand, don't worry. With the help of your best buddy, scraper, clean up your hands like this.
You always ask me how my dough comes together and it doesn't stick to my hands.
Of course the dough is sticky, but don't panic. Let the time to do your job. Before you do anything else, cover it up and let it rest for 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, come back with wet hands and voila, magic happened. Without doing anything, the dough gained some strength. Beautiful, right? From now, every time you are going to touch your dough, you need to wet up your hands and the dough not gonna stick to your hands at all. You don't need flour, my friend. Flour act like glue. But I'm gonna bring it on the surface and with the help of the surface, round it up to build more tension and create smooth surface. This is the result of choosing the right hydration for the flour you are baking with. You can also do this with the help of scraper. And in this method, I'm gonna let the dough rest for another hour.
Stretch and fold, coil fold, slap and fold, all are good. But the important part is stretching. You need to focus on that.
1 hour later, you can even wet up the surface with the help of water sprayer. Bring the dough on the surface and we want to do this technique called lamination. Spread the dough as much as you can. Here you can have an evaluation of your dough, how the gluten has developed. Open it up without tearing it and then fold it in. Again, we are focusing on stretching part. And now again, same technique. With the help of the surface, I'm gonna round it up and bring more tension. Like so, my dough gained lots of strength and ready to finish its ball fermentation. Into the bowl and let it rest up to 3 hours. My room temperature is 27 degrees Celsius.
After second or third fold, if your dough still not come together at all and it's shaggy or wet, it's not gonna come together. Something wrong. You need to check everything from the beginning. Did I choose the right hydration? Am I using a strong flour? What about my starter?
In my second method, after the first 30-minute rest, I'm gonna give the dough 2 sets of stretch and fold 30-minute rest between each set. Again, you need to focus on stretching it. Round it up inside the bowl and let it rest for 30 minutes. This is the second set of stretch and fold. By now, your dough should look like this, elastic and strong. And of course, it's playable. I can even bring it on the surface and stretch my dough on the surface. This time, I'm gonna let it rest for 45 minutes. Then I'm gonna give this bad boy 2 sets of coil fold. Beginner's mistake is they don't do the coil fold correctly. Lift the dough up and stretch it as much as you can, then fold it in. We just want to bring more air inside of the dough. In this stage, we don't want to push the dough so hard. 45-minute rest between each set. And this is how the dough should look like after coil fold.
Again, no one can give you the exact fermentation time.
After 2 hours, here how you can tell the dough finished its ball fermentation properly or not. I am looking for 70% rise because I live in hot climate. And look at this beautiful bubbles and fermentation, and the dough releases from the bowl easily.
Unless the recipe gives you the exact temperature and you use the same flour and same starter.
This tools right here is a bit strange to beginner. This is a thermometer. Bakery is about time and temperature. Ideal temperature after bulk fermentation is 25 degrees Celsius or 78 degrees Fahrenheit.
Don't skip pre-shaping.
I highly recommend to you to do the pre-shaping before shaping. Here is another evaluation part, and you create tension inside your dough before you even shaping it. 20 minutes uncovered on the counter to have a smooth shaping.
You watch a shaping video on social, a master baker shaped a very high hydration dough, and you're gonna do the same. Don't do that.
Many of you keep asking what type of banneton I am using. Should we use leaner too or not? Rice flour or normal flour? None of this is that important. If you've done all of the steps correctly by now, your dough should hold its shape. That's why for shaping my dough, I just use tiny amounts of flour, not too much flour. Again, as a beginner, don't confuse with all of the shaping videos you have watched on the internet. Stick to a simple shaping method. I always like to first fold one side to the center, and then I can decide I'm gonna fold the other side too, or I'm gonna fold these 2 wings on each other. Then I turn the dough, is touched from the non-stick surface, stretch little bit and fold it to the center. And then I stretch these 2 wings and fold on each other and continue until I reach to the bottom of the dough. And now start the rolling and tucking. Tuck the dough while you are rolling it toward yourself. Don't push it too hard and try to seal the edges properly. Here you must get rid of all of those extra air and bubbles. Of course, if you don't want to end up with uneven holes on your breadcrumb. And then with the help of the scraper into the banneton, the dough should hold its shape completely at this stage. If it's sticky, not holding its shape, it's not gonna give you a perfect sourdough. Before you transfer it into the fridge, because I always recommend cold proofing, check the temperature one more time. If it was too cold, you need to let it sit on the counter for up to 1 hour, then you can transfer it into the fridge. And yes, rice flour works if you don't use the leaner. Now let me show you how I shape a bull sourdough.
This is how I score my dough to achieve a nice belly and beautiful ear.
The next beautiful morning, I'm gonna preheat my oven and score my sourdough. But first, I'm gonna do the poke test. Poke the dough. If it's spraying back slowly, you have a well-proof dough. As a home baker, it's better to use baking paper. I like lighter crust. That's why I use tiny amounts of flour. If you like chewier crust, use much flour. Here is the secret. To achieve that nice belly and beautiful ear, turn the blade and score with 45-degree angles. Hold the dough one more time and go under the edges with less pressure. A deep, confident score. That's what we want.
Last but not least, you keep asking me how to achieve lighter and crispier crust.
And that brings us to oven adjustment. I'm gonna preheat my oven 45 minutes to 1 hour in advance, bottom and top heat. I'm using an upside down tray. You can use the baking stone or baking steel. And one extra pan, in this case, cast iron pan. These bad boys absorb all of the heat and gets too hot. Be careful. Right before you're gonna bake your bread, prepare some boiling water. Spray a little bit of water on the surface of the dough. And with the help of pizza peel, I'm gonna transfer it into the oven. You can also spray water in this stage, no difference. And pour the boiling water on that cast iron pan. Shut the door quickly. This is very important. Reduce the temperature at 230 degrees Celsius. After just 20 minutes, boom. This is how we achieve, I can say, maximum oven spring. Remove the remaining steam. Shut the door and reduce the temperature to 215 degrees Celsius. Bake for another 20 minutes and watch. Is it crispy enough for you? Now let's check what we got inside. Do you like the crumb? And that's how you achieve crispier and lighter crust, and of course creamier and airier crumb.
Alright, that was it. If you learned something, you can like my video and subscribe my channel so you don't miss my next video. Like always, keep baking and take a good care of yourself.